Om Shunyamadeva Tatyam Vashe Martyave Yatra Sirairangai Stuvarum Sastanuvi Vashemadeva Yadayu Swastina Indro Vridhashava Swastina Purusha Vishwavena Swastina Sasho Arishtanevi Swastino Brahaspati Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Okay, so last time we were seeing the various opinions on the reality, various schools of thought, experiential. He continues the same idea there. So at the end of it, we can wrap it up. Okay. I think we saw the 22nd verse last time, ending with food.
Okay, bye.
23 we finished.
23 we finished.
23.
Okay. We call it the formlessness also. You saw that reality is formless, but that formless is taken as shunya, nothingness. Because very few people can think about an existence without a form. Therefore, those who take as formless generally take it as nothingness. Or there is a new school who says this God is formless, but he is located somewhere. How can he be formless and located somewhere? I can't understand. Unless by formless, what you mean is shapeless, like an amoeba. Yeah. Then he continues the idea. What the idea is, you can add another 20 to it, okay? But let us see what he's saying. Kala iti kala vidaha, disha iti tad vidaha, vada iti vada vidaha, bhunani iti tad vidaha, kala iti kala vidaha. For the astrologers, most important thing in their life is time. Okay? Because everything depends on the time. You study astrology, it almost looks as though your effort has got no value. But it has. Because they'll talk about pariharams, what you can do to alleviate your sufferings. That means your effort is there. But kala becomes a reality, time. Isha iti tad vidaha. Isha vidaha. Those who are concerned about directions, vastu, etc. Your house south-facing entrance, oh my God, you have into a big problem. There is some reality in that. Facing a house is bad. Yeah, there are some this thing, but that becomes only reality in their life. Okay. Disha iti tad vidaha. Vada iti vada vidaha. Yeah. Vada, various theories, the academicians, the intellectuals. For them, the truth is not the important thing. The fact that there are various theories possible becomes important. No. This one said that one said that, that is the limitation here, this is the positive here. Okay, vada iti vada vidaha. Bhunani iti tat vidaha. Those who are talking in terms of the whole creation. Based on the Puranas, Veda, etc. But for them, the 14 lokas become important. What is the difference between Patala and Sutala? Prahlada's grandson Mahabali was sent to Sutala or Patala? And why was he sent to suffer? You didn't have to go there, no? Fine. He was sent to rule, okay? Not to suffer. Okay. Then Mana iti mano vidaha. Manaha iti mano vidaha. Buddhir iti tat vidaha. Chittam iti chit vidaha. Dharma dharmo cha tat vidaha. Mana iti mano vidaha. Olden days, they will be called charvakas. Your emotional health is important. Emotional, your feelings are the most important thing. If you feel like doing something, do it. If you feel like enjoying something, enjoy it. Permissive life. Mana iti. Modern day, the psychologists have replaced them. Inner reality is the most important. What about outer reality? Your problem is not with inner reality. Your problem is the mismatch between inner and outer reality. You know, mentally we will manifest this. Manifestation was that easy. Would I not wiped out the hunger? At least in India, if not the whole world. Okay. Anayati manovida. Buddhi iti tat vidaha. Buddhi. The subjective philosophers. You know, like Kshanika Vijnanavada, etc. For them, the thought becomes the most important thing. There's no reality outside, only inside. Everything outside is a projection of your thought. Kshanika Vijnanavada of Buddhism. Yeah. Chittamiti chit vidaha. Okay. Chittam. This is the flickers of consciousness. Kshanika Vijnanavada. Okay. According to Kshanika Vijnanavada, there is no reality of, there is no I. There is a series of thought, therefore, in the series of thought, there is consciousness manifest. The series of thoughts create an illusion called I. Therefore, there is no real I. Other than the flickers of consciousness, there is no I. That means you are just a flicker, okay? Flicker away. I'm the one who connects up all the thoughts. One is socha. Dharma, dharma, uchitad vidaha. I'm obsessed with right and wrong. Dharma, all the time. I take dharma as the absolutes in my life. Okay, dharma is important. Any of these views are important, but they have become the reality in my life rather than an aspect of my life. That is where the problem is. Dharma, of course, it is important. But can you make it absolute? Dharma is not absolute. Panchavimshaka ityeke, Shadvimshaka iti chapare, Ekatrishanka ityahu, Ananta iti chapare. Panchavinchika ityeke. Okay. The Sankhyas, the reality has got 25 aspects to it. What is the 25? The Purusha, Prakriti, Mahat, Ahankara. 5 subtle elements, 5 sense of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 sense objects, and mind. This is the Sankhya. Shadvingshaka iti apare. Then the yogis come in and put an Ishvara also along with it and say, no, it's 26. Ishvara and yoga is Vishesha Purusha. It is not the Ishvara of Vedanta. Okay? Understand this very clearly. When yoga talks about Ishvara, it is Vishesha Purusha. Because according to Sankhya, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas in flux creates creation. When it is steady, there is no creation. There's pralaya. Someone asked the Sankhya, is if the gunas are steady in balance, what is to create a flux? Because we knew one thing very clearly in those days. Something at rest will continue to be at rest until disturbed by an external force. The husband on a Sunday will continue to be at rest unless his wife finds some job for him. So what? So the Sankhyan doesn't have an answer. So the yogi comes to his rescue. Put an Ishvara there. What is his job? To disturb Prakriti. Then the creation can be on. Okay, I'm not joking. I mean, I'm presenting it in a funny manner, but this is the truth of the philosophy. Okay. Then Ekatrinchakaha Idyahu, the Pashupatas. Okay, Pashupatas are a set of Shiva worshippers. Okay. They had Raga, Avidya, Niyati or fate, Kala, division of times, and Maya to the above 26. Now you can see how 31 is there. If you're following this book, it's all there in the footnotes. No, Baba, there are infinite. ये सब क्या calculate कर सकते? Look at the world; it's infinite. The world is made up of infinite possibilities. Don't categorize. Okay. लोकान् लोकविदः प्राहुः आश्रमः इति तद्विदः स्त्री पुंसकः लिङ्गः परम् अधा परे लोकान् इति लोकविदः. Interaction. The study of human interaction is what makes the world possible. Sociologists, okay, those who deal with social science, human interaction, the whole thing is all based on that. So economics, commerce, etc., everything will come into that. Lokavidaha prahu. Ashrama iti tadvidaha. Ashrama is the reality. You always have to follow ashrama dharma, ashrama niyamas. Okay? Varna and ashrama niyamas, these are the most important. This guy felt like getting married at 58. According to ashrama dharma, now is the time for you to become vanaprasthi, not get into grahastha ashrama. I feel like that. My choice, freedom of choice is there or not? In fact, I tease a friend of mine. He was my batchmate. He got married at 58, 59. I always used to tease him. When you had to get married, that time you came to the ashram. And when it's time for you to go to the ashram, you got married. Ye kya ulta khopdi. They're just teasing. If he wants to do it, he wants to do it. He's free to do it.
Swamiji.
Anyway, Swamiji blessed him, okay?
Swamiji, sorry.
Yeah?
Then
Yeah.
Sashyabda Buddhi can also be funded by the father-in-law.
Yeah, I'll find a new mother. Okay. Then Stri Pumsaka Laingaha. Okay. These are the grammar units. Take a dhatu. How will you make it masculine, feminine? That becomes more important. Okay. This is talking about that. Okay. Yeah. Or the study of male, female. How many books are written in modern world about relationships? In fact, even sadhus talk. Vedanta and relationships. Vedanta looks at love. Why? Because people are obsessed with it. So you put in Vedanta through those topics. It's creating awareness. That's all. What is love in the light of Vedanta? होता है. No. सृष्टि इति सृष्टिविदः, लय इति च तद्विदः, स्थिति इति स्थितिविदः, सर्वे चैह सर्वदा. The focus is on creation. Be creative. Have creative ideas, etc. Because the Lord is nothing but creation. You're taking part in the creative process. So the creative process becomes the most important in your life. Hey, sometimes you have to destroy things, okay? Laya iti chalta tvidaha. The idea is you're focused on one thing and making it all important thing in your life. No, the universe is steady state. After all, creation is a zero-sum game. What I'm saying is true, okay? Creation is a zero-sum game. What are you really creating? Matter and energy cannot be created. They can only be introduced. And that's all we are doing anyway. So, you're saying there is no creation. But what is your focus? What are you making? Everything, all important in your life. Sarve cha tu sarvada. All these are what? Various notions that you imagine on the reality. Some of them functionally valid, some of them not valid. But they are opinions. Okay? Now, why is he saying all this? Yes, so many things that people get obsessive about as though that is a reality in their lives. Some of them openly declare it and they have a philosophy behind it. Some of them behave like that. They may not have a philosophy, but they behave like that. Why? The difference of opinions about one reality shows that nobody knows the reality. About one thing, if there are 10 different opinions, and some of them are even opposed to each other, can you say all of them are true? At the most, you can say it is a facet of it. You're looking at a facet. That's the maximum you can say. Maximum you can say. Why? Because to know the reality, you don't have a pramana. You're using only your perception for it. Perception, inference, etc. They are not the pramana to know your absolute reality. So they become speculative in nature. Because on very, very highly limited data, you're speculating about the nature of reality. And your system is such, even in modern science, that you have to keep the observer out of it. That means one big chunk of the reality you're taking out, and then you're studying the reality. It will become speculative. Just because you can put it in a mathematical format doesn't make it real. Science will always say, let us do the math and see whether mathematically valid. Forgetting that mathematics is a language, is a meta language, that's all. So just because you can express something mathematically, that it follows the principles of mathematics, doesn't mean it's a reality. Because someone will come along and disprove the same thing 10 years down the line. Then what is the reality? That's an entirely different ballgame. That's a different thing altogether. So he's quoting all this not to prove or disprove anything. He's quoting these various opinions to show that there is a solid confusion about the reality. The opinions itself shows that there is avidya about the reality. Some of these are valid points, valid standpoint for functioning. Like Vastu, valid standpoint. Astrology, valid standpoint. These are all for functioning valid standpoints, but they are only standpoints valid for a certain purpose, nothing more than that. I know somebody, she wanted me to speak in her setup also, which I did also. But the whole focus is only astrology. That's the most important thing. The whole Veda is reduced to astrology. Astrology is one small aspect. Good astrologers, like one of them was my grandfather would say, pulls away planets, wise men manage them. Yeah, that is how it is. They're giving you some information, use that and live your life with that information. Manage that information, you have managed your life. So any aspect cannot, another thing, aspect in your life, no one aspect can be taken as absolute, including dharma, he has mentioned. The idea of right, wrong, etc. Not absolute. It is there. Dharma is there, adharma is there. Yes, follow dharma, negate adharma, all that is fine. But they are not absolutes. If you take dharma, adharma as absolute, you have to mess up your life. Because then you will think only in black and white, refuse to see a million shades of grey. And life is made up of grey, not black and white. So all this shows that the idea of reality is wrapped up. Very warped idea of reality, you don't really know the reality. Then how did he get so obsessive about it? He's giving one way because of how people have become upset. Yam bhavam darshiye desya tam bhavam satupashyati tam chevati cha bhutva aso graha sampaititam. Yam bhavam darshiye desya. Someone elder, someone who you look up to, maybe a teacher, maybe a mentor, someone older, wiser, a friend, buddy, whatever. Okay. Darashiyecha bhavam. He showed you a perspective of things. That perspective you like, you saw it and said, ah, correct. And you found it working into your life. The entire aspect, anything will work. Yeah. All of them will work from a standpoint. So if in hurry, correct, this is working. So now what? You get identified with that. You hold on to that. That becomes your reality. So it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Tadgraha saupaitam. Now that becomes your self-identity. Why does it come up? Get it? As human beings, we are born with ignorance. We are ignorant people. Self-ignorance is high. When self-ignorance is high, always a sense of insecurity. You're mooring less. You want to hold on to something. So whatever gives you some order in your life, okay, some order in your life, some moorings in your life, you will hold on to that as a reality. That becomes your reality. This happens all the time. Especially if in certain situation I found, hey, it worked all right. It helped me. So that becomes my reality now. Then it can become my job, it can become a profession, it can become my life. That's it. Some of us are very passionate about our careers. How did it start? Do you really mean to say when you started your career, especially technical careers or medical careers, something like that? You really know what it is about? There's some romanticizing about it. And if, oh yeah, it works, yeah, it makes sense, yeah, then you committed yourself to it. That's how it is. Because you're looking for something to hold on to. And why do you need to hold on to something? Because you're insecure. No moorings. So you always want to hold on to something. Gives you a sense of security. You will make up certain laws and regulations in your life that gives you some illusion of security. That's why I love that serial, The Big Bang Theory. There are exaggerated versions of this shown very well. Like the main character there, Sheldon. For him, that spot on which he sits is the most important. Why? This gives me, in an unstable world, this is my stability. In terms of coordinates, it is 0, 0, 0, 0. 4 0 is for time. This is stability. What are you holding on to? So it's important for us also to see, apart from the, I'm talking apart from the Vedanta, this also, in terms of understanding Vedanta, my growth, for which my growth is important. To see what is it that we are holding on so passionately in life, as though it's an absolute thing in my life. My life is made up of relative things only. You can be passionate about something, that's okay, but it's not absolute. Like you can be passionate about music, great thing to be, very good, excellent. But is it absolute? Can it dictate your identity? Can you make it your own identity? Your profession? The doctor, engineer, tailor, tinker, tailor, whatever. Can you make it your identity? Your position? Like I remember asking somebody, what was your field in working? Like the person is retired. Asked, what is your field? Said, I was CEO. I'm asking your field, what is it? Was it finance? Was it management? What was that? Was it science? I want to know your field. You're telling me a position that you held before you retired. And you're retired. Now you're still holding on to the position. It's consumed you. It gave you a sense of identity. It gave you a sense of achievement. It gave you a sense of self-worth. I can understand all that. That's the identity you're holding on 5 years after you're retired. What do you?
Swamiji,
Yeah.
like most of the professions, like the scientist and
Yeah.
so many things, like people are so much into it because otherwise to get those outcomes, like when we were for the space thing and anything, even the tech people, the coding and all, they are like 18 hours, 20 hours, they are just doing
Correct.
that. So then if you're not exposed to this knowledge, it's very easy to means your mind, we are wired that way, it is very
Exactly.
difficult
That's
to
exactly
see
what I'm
yourself
pointing out.
apart from that, even if you're exposed to this knowledge, because it is that field demands so much of you.
Yeah.
That it's not easy to just step out and you say that this is a role. It sometimes is very tough, especially this kind of roles like a scientist and all, which requires even a psychology, like so much reading and so much involvement in the topic, that and research, we have so much research. So Even the MBA graduates, the finance thing, they work
Agreed.
so much. So
I'll add one more to it.
Yeah.
I'll add one more role to it. A role which involves playing with your life, putting your life on the line.
Yeah, the
Soldier,
soldiers.
as a warrior.
So it is
All
so
this
much,
correct, but be able to.
and it is like that, and the mind is actually structured like that. It is not. We are not even
Thinking about
geared to think separately. We cannot think separately. Also, no, Swamiji. It is
Correct. That's why when you come to Vedanta, we point it out.
yeah. Without Vedanta, I don't know. It is
Because the same thing can happen to a student of Vedanta also. मैं महाराज हूँ, पहुंचा हुआ महात्मा. And people call everyone, we all call Maharaj. No, North India, we are called Maharaj. Then I had to keep reminding myself. In Gujarat, Maharaj means the cook.
Swamiji, the number of prefixes, then they keep on adding.
That's all. They keep on letting them add anything. How
I
do
know.
you take it? How do you take it? Can you say, I'm a teacher only when I'm sitting on the Vyasa Pita? When I step out, I can be a buddy, I can be a friend. Can you say that? It's important. Like yesterday, I met someone who holds me in high regard. Yoga teacher, teaches the Gita, has studied the Gita from Swami Paramarthananda, and listens to my tapes, has a great regard for me, listens to Puja Swamiji's tapes. So the girl knows many of our teachers, has a great regard. So she came to meet me, saying, Swamiji, I'm getting nervous when I say, and I'm finding it difficult to express it because I know I'm speaking to a great teacher. I said, relax. Teacher I am when I'm teaching. Now treat me like a buddy. Treat me like a friend. Treat me like someone, okay, older, wiser if you want. Not more than that. Not more than that. Drop the rules, including teacher roles. Many of you, I shared a meal with you all, many of you. You behave like a teacher when I do that. Drop it. हो गया क्लास हो गया ना बस टीचर रोल हो गया. Somewhere you have to start learning to do that. So my whole life is dedicated to this. No? So yesterday an old friend got in touch with me. I known him since school days. We are practically inseparable. Three of us were there, practically inseparable. Now we are gone all separate. I don't have anything much in common. I met him. Now what are you going to talk about? I said, come, let's have a cup of tea together. Or kya? Whole time saying. Gita Bhavan mein gaya, baitha, chat. Or you're not a Mahatma there. You're not this. You're a normal person. For all of us, learn to drop our roles. The more you understand real, easier it is. Some of us, for the sake of the students, sometimes you play a Mahatma role. You play that role a bit more. So that it's easier for the student to relate because they expect that. That's okay. For those who want to do it, fine. Because there is sometimes that helps the student. So where it helps, do it. Where it doesn't help, drop it. Because nothing is absolute. This has to be like this, it has to be like that. No. Everything is relative. Only thing absolute. When you make a statement, everything is relative. You have to take a stand on something which is not relative. The frame of reference should be apart from that. You cannot see the change unless you stand apart from the change. Similarly here, the only thing real, absolute, is you, the consciousness. So that is the whole attempt, is to understand that. All others become mere opinions, born of ignorance. Or there are some functioning standpoints valid up to that much. But mithya. Important maybe, but mithya. Remember, this is Vaidratya Prakarma. So he's showing that every opinion you hold about yourself or the reality, whether it comes from a prakrita, unsophisticated in his thinking, a laborer on the street, or it is coming from a philosopher or a scientist, just an opinion. It may or may not have some functional validity. Or sometimes you have discovered something which you have not discovered the functional validity yet. That can also happen. You discover some things in science and you learn how to apply it much later. Technology has to grow for that. That also happens. So right now you may not think it is functionally valid. First, a theoretician has to conceive of it. Then an experimental scientist has to validate it. Then a technologist has to build up the technology to make it useful. Isn't this how science develops? So certain difficult situations make it develop faster. Like you find a lot of development and keeps happening during times of war. Because it's challenging situations, you have to find solutions first. But all that is what? Functional. They're not the reality. They all may be functionally valid. Functional validity does not mean it is Satyam. In fact, functional validity means it's Mithya. Because the reality is not available for functioning. It is a basis for the whole function. So you have to keep that in mind. That whatever you have held, this is, I never fail to stress this. Whatever you hold as real in your life, as important in your life, as valid in your life, as important it is, as valid it is, Mithya. You can understand that, Vedanta will be clearer. That's right. That means you have to question your emotional involvement also. You may intellectually say, yeah, I know it's Mithya. It's not real. How's your emotional involvement in that? You still believe that you have to control that thing for you to be happy? I wrote a mini article on this. Someone sitting halfway across the world wants to change the government in Nepal. Otherwise, he's not happy. The deep state. And here, no. I just want to change my husband and I'll be happy. Or my wife, I'll be happy. But everyone wants to control. He is in relationships. For 20 years, people are changing each other. And then they come and tell me he's not the person I'm married to. I said, 20 years you've been changing the person. How do you expect the person to be the person you married? You actively contributed to change the person. Now why are you cribbing? Person changed, now you wanted the person to change. The person changed, now you're not happy with the change. It's like I told this young girl, just upset of how unhappy her mother is. I said, your mother will not be happy unless she changes you to exact her carbon copy. Then she thought for a minute. Said, even then she will not be happy. Why? Because she is not happy with herself. I said, good. You hit the nail on the head. If my happiness depends on how much I control the world, what is the maximum you can control? The speed of the fan or the AC setting, something like this you can control, not more than that. And I find if my fan, the regulator, up to 2 it works. If I lower it from 2 to 1, it doesn't work. Okay with that? Yes, it is difficult. It's tough to keep getting on top. More and more difficult it becomes because we don't have, if you have some insight into what we are. And Vedanta gives you some insights, it makes it a bit easier. So the clarity of insight will depend on my ability to pick up and drop. On one side, it's very difficult. On the other side, it's very easy also. I have to recognize both of them. Like, my father is here, my child is here. I look here, I drop the role of parent and become child. Picked up the child role. I look here, drop the parent role, become parent here. Drop the child role, become parent with respect to my child. Just by glancing. That's so easy. Yeah, functioning it becomes difficult. You can drop it only when it is necessary to be dropped. To recognize its mithya is important. And the first step will be to see the relativity of it. The first step, this is an important step to take before you can see the complete mithya. To see how the relative each thing is. How that none of the things that I hold on is absolute. Whether it is a role, a thing, an ideology, and this, nothing is absolute. They are relative. They have their advantages, they have their disadvantages. We are living in a democracy, right? Most of us, whole world now, political system, what is highlighted is democracy. The democracy doesn't have its flaws.
It does.
Oh, kingship functions very well, especially in emergency situation. Yes, has its flaws. Yes, both are relative. Both have their advantages, both have their disadvantages. Yeah, free speech issues, correct? Yeah. Descendants of immigrants want to build up a wall, want to build a wall against immigrants. The only person who can claim to be original are the American Indians, so-called red Indians. Nobody else can claim to be original citizens of America. Nobody else can. All are immigrants. So descendants of immigrants want to prevent immigration. Yeah, I accept that there is a limit. You have to keep certain limits because resources are limited. I can understand that. You can't keep on accepting refugees. I accept. But you can always accept contributing members to the society, which will help you develop. That is sensible. If you don't do that, you're becoming insensible. India is the other way around. 10 million refugees came during the 71 war. Nobody was sent back. They became vote bank for the Congress party. Really, no one was sent back. And that's why we are suffering now in certain areas. I'm not joking. The armed forces said we can send them back. It's easy to do that. All the army commanders were of the opinion we could send them back at that time. Congress party didn't want. Became vote bank politics. And the same party was kicked out from Bengal. Samsaroyam ativa vichitra. That's all. This is not to get you worked up on it, to understand how the mithya plays itself out. There mithya is happening. So nothing can be held as absolute in your life. There will be a lot of things which are valid for your life. Keep them in your life. They're valid now. You don't have to junk it. It's valid. Don't junk it. Recognize the relative use of anything else. Like the Beatles came to India to study transcendental meditation. So initially, they're all very taken up by it. But at the end of the day, it's a technique. PM is only a technique. So one of them was asked, yeah, I'll come to that also. I'll come to that question. So one of them was asked afterwards, after they left India, how useful you find PM? This is useful as my toothbrush. I mean, it's useful. It's a mental clearing. Yeah. Two things now. Two questions have come up, which is good. What is the first one?
Role of stand, taking a stand. So like, if we say everything is mithvatam, nobody stands for anything, and then becomes a very...
Nobody takes a stand because the self-interest is too high. I want to keep myself safe. It's a cowardly way of living. Doesn't contribute to your growth. Doesn't contribute to your growth. Remember, I said certain things are important, mithya, but important and valid in your life. If it is valid, can you take a stand? We all knew how to take a stand when we were young and in college. Nepal, the change was done by the youth. And after 2 days of that whole, 2-3 days of that whole thing that happened, they actually gave a call to come up and clear out the streets of all the things that has been dumped there. They actually gave one, they started clearing up the streets. All the garbage, this, that, etc. They started clearing it up. Look at it. We all knew how to take a stand at that time. But as we grew older, okay, we found a few areas of stability. Now we are afraid to lose that. Take a stand, we may lose that. 1 second. Huh? Suddenly, my this is sheer cowardice, I'm telling you, nothing else. People are not learned to live in courage. I told you what happened when the Shankaracharya of Kanchi was arrested falsely and put behind the bars. And there is a Kaikirya Sabha of his devotees who consider him God. I told them, let's have a prayer meeting in Bombay for him. I knew protest meeting, etc. These idiots are not going to do it. They're not capable of it. I said, let's have a prayer meeting in Chakra. Just a prayer meeting for his support. Yeah. They were scared to do that as well. What is Jayalalitha sitting in Tamil Nadu be able to do to anything to you here in Bombay? They're scared. Can you look at the amount of cowardice that is there in that? The sheer cowardice. Puja Swami and some of us went and met him in the jail. We have more to do because we have an ashram set up in Tamil Nadu. We didn't care. We took a stand. VHP took a stand. Bajrangal took a stand. They don't think of Bajrangal and all, doesn't think of Kanchi Acharya as God. Ainkira Sabha thinks of. He couldn't take a stand. Now what does that come down to? Not having the courage, your convictions. In fact, the conviction itself I had to question. गुलाम बन गया है, गुलामी का जीवन इतना सालों से जिया ना. You live like slaves for a few generations. Therefore, the slave mentality is continuing. Can't take a stand. And not only you can't take a stand. When somebody else takes a stand for us, we criticize them. Top of it. Lack of courage, lack of moral fiber. Yet is sure that nothing else. I mean, call a spade a spade. If I'm one of them, accept it. Yeah, because this is exactly what it is. Yeah. Now, I never, then the other question was about doing a role well and letting it go. You let it go when it's no more necessary and then you're not playing the role. You learn to drop it. That's all. When you're playing the role of a parent, play the role of a parent. But don't parent other people, only your kids. Number one. Number two, the kid has become a Hulk now. 30-year-old professional doing a good job. Now what? He's still parenting. You don't need, unless the person comes and asks you for advice, don't. I think I was 22, 23 when my first voyage. So my parents wanted to come and see the ship. Actually, I said, yeah, I'll arrange for the pass, etc. Because you need a permit to enter the docks. I'll arrange for all that. In the evening, I'm on night duty today, so I'll be there in the evening. Come. So they came, I showed them on the whole ship, this, that. But they only saw one or two workers, and the only officer around was me, the engineer around was me. He says, if something goes wrong, who will take care of it? I said, I'm there now. You? Yeah. But nobody else is there. I said, no, I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to take care of what, when anything goes wrong. My God. But really, what will happen if something goes wrong? I said, if something goes wrong, I'll take care of it. I mean, you don't know enough to see what will go wrong. I know that. I know what all can go wrong here in the night. And I know how to take care of it. Wouldn't they accept that? Are you seeing that? Hey, time to drop it. The company is trusting me with the whole ship. You can't. Who's going to have the loss? Company. There's like my brother-in-law's father told him, see, you had some minor breakages in the lab, etc. I paid for it. If you sink a ship, I can't pay for it. You don't know when to let it go. क्या बोलेगा? You can't see that the little kid has become a man. Difficult. But you have to be able to see that. The heart of good parenting lies there. I mean, we can all fall for that. We have to catch ourselves from falling for that. I remember admitting my uncle to a hospital some 30 years back when I was still young. 30 years back. But a lot older than the RMOs were there. And this RMO came to examine my uncle. I almost said, call your senior. Then I said, no, the guy is qualified to handle it. If he has to call the senior, he will call the senior. I shouldn't be telling him that. So I took a step back. Got myself in time. Because this is a thing that can happen. Because you see somebody younger, you think they're not capable. No, that's not true. How much we rebelled against the same sentiment when we were young. And we told we couldn't do it. So that is part of letting go. To understand that, hey, this is inappropriate here. I mean, I can still call him my baby, that, etc. That's all fine. But in your mind, you should know that baby has become a babe now. It's important to see that. It's important to see the change that has come and to accept it. Yeah, accept it. Do you know all our security is in the hands of 20-year-olds? You're feeling safe, very safe in India. India is a safe place to be. Why? The 20-year-old guys standing on the border in hospitable places. Imagine, for example, you will find it difficult to walk there. They're living there. Agniveers, etc. Yeah? Those kids are standing there, and therefore you are safe. Doing a man's job. Respect that. Let go. People can. So to be able to see this at different stages in our life and play the role well, drop the role when necessary. Play the role well, drop it when necessary. Don't keep holding on to the role. Drop it. Because you have to understand you are a simple human being different from the role. First step. First step, you're a simple human being different from the role. Next step, you are the Sakshi, the witnesser of. Next step, the Sakshi is nothing but Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. नई बात है. If we are stuck at the roles, how will Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman work? From there to human being, from human being to Sakshi, Sakshi to Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So that is why here he spends so much of time on the Mithyatvam of things. Aititya Prakarna. Mithyatvam. The appreciation of Mithyatvam itself is dropping there. Because you are not taking it too serious. You're taking it as what is valid. That's all, nothing more. It's a very important point how to bring it into your life. Yeah. Think about it. Good place to stop. We'll go ahead further. Home, that's it. Take care.